how did you get involved with this project?
It's a very long story that's quick to tell, but it's like it was a slow burner story in that I had wanted to make a great superhero movie all my life, and Wonder Woman is my favorite superhero. So of course, as soon as Hollywood ever asked me what I wanted to do, I was like, oh my God, no one's made Wonder Woman. I want to make Wonder Woman. But then 10 years have gone by since that first conversation, and I would end up having a discussion about it every few years, but there were always, the DC universe was evolving and it was never the right place or the time. But here we are, like all these years later, the vision that I had always had and the vision that they had suddenly matched up, and the moment came, and what a magical thing that actually turned into me making the movie. I'm so psyched.
And talk about your vision. What was your approach to this? How had you always felt that you wanted to tell this story, and why was it important to go back to the origin of Wonder Woman?
So I love all superhero movies, and I actually kind of believe in them as a metaphor for our own experiences. Is like, what if I was? But I was missing the kind of superhero movie that got me interested in the first place, which really started with Superman, which was something incredibly beautiful, powerful, funny, grand, big game, lacking cynicism. And I sort of felt like I hadn't seen that exactly for a while. And so that was my vision, was not to be more niche than that or more modern than that in some new kind of way. I said, I think Wonder Woman is the grandest superhero that there is, and so let's go back in time and make a great classic film and be very modern about it, but like go for the gusto of the big, beautiful filmmaking. And so that was what I wanted to do, and and interestingly, that is a very specific way of doing it. It's not a no-brainer to do it that way. So I'm so lucky that the moment came where that was a vision they really got behind, and I felt incredibly supported by Warner Brothers in making something that's a little bit unusual in that way.
And it's the backdrop of this is interesting too. During World War I, how did that time era come about? How did that work into the overall idea of how you were going to tell this story?
I think the incredible thing about it was that I was not involved in the decision to do that. When I first signed on board, that was pitched to me of like, we were thinking that this would take place in World War I. And it gave me thought for a second, just because it's slightly different than her actual origin story. But the truth is, we've seen so many superheroes were born in the 40s. So many superheroes have their origin story based around World War II, and it's very familiar. So I was less clear on how to make that conversation distinct, but she is different than other superheroes in the fact that she's a god coming down to mankind. And so World War I was super fascinating because of the fact that it was a very important turning point for mankind in what we were going to be as modern people. And it was the birth of mechanized war. People were crossing over into each other's borders like never before, trying to figure out how to all live together. The feminist movement and the women's movement was just starting. And so all of these questions were being talked about who we were going to be. So to send someone from outside of that world completely into it, to ask questions about the decisions that we were making and to make observations about it was wonderful. And I also loved that World War I symbolizes the true horrors of mankind, but yet it's not a war first of all, it would be a very hard war to know very well because it's so complex. But so you have the weight of something real without having to follow one very clear narrative. It was a war and it was horrific, but it was very it brought that without beating you over the head with something dark that you had to pay service to.
And let's talk about your cast. Let's first off talk about Gaul. I mean,
yeah,
amazing.
Amazing.
I mean, where
did she come from?
Where did you find her?
I did not find her. It's one of the honestly, one of the luckiest things that has ever happened to me, besides making this movie, was that they had cast Gal Gadot to play this part, because I care a lot about casting. When I first heard that in the midst of my years of professing interest in doing this, Wonder Woman had been cast, I thought, oh my God, that's a serious business. Like, Wonder Woman's been cast? And easily that could have been a blow, or at least one could have had a very different vision. And one would think one would, but no, because Zack Snyder, Debbie Snyder, Chuck Roven took very seriously all of the right things, all of the same things that I would have fought for, which is to service and live up to Wonder Woman, to find somebody who was the best embodiment of Wonder Woman on screen. What we all got so lucky to find was someone who is actually the greatest embodiment of Wonder Woman in every way, not just on screen, not just transcendent as Wonder Woman, but off screen too, and a great actress and a hard worker. And so she's just a gift, a gem, and a true Wonder Woman.
She really is. Lastly, as far as what you not hope that audiences take away from this, but what are they in store for when they go see this film?
I'll tell you what I hope they're in store for. I hope that Wonder Woman fans see a great Wonder Woman movie. But I hope that whether you're a Wonder Woman fan or not, you see a great movie that you enjoy and that you have a great time in, and that is fun, and that has a love story, and that is exciting, but also sends a message that we all really believed in, and a lot of people worked really hard to try to bring to life. And so that's what I hope. I hope it's a great time, and I hope that if it settles in even more than that, it touches your heart a little bit.